What's good, guys? This is Darian, the home barber, finally coming out with my second haircut tutorial. Today we're going to be doing a comb over with the high skin fade, and I'm going to be starting off the haircut with the Andis Slimline Pro Li and just doing my first guidelining and balding everything underneath. If you guys haven't checked out my first video, please be sure to check that out. My YouTube channel is based on teaching upcoming barbers the step I use to fade and techniques I have learned as well. If you guys noticed, I also placed the image of the clippers or guards that I'm using to help you guys follow the steps that I'm doing. For this first guideline, the line doesn't necessarily have to be perfectly straight because you will blend it out, but it is better to keep your work nice and neat. This may be fairly obvious, but please make sure you dust off your clients so they don't feel uncomfortable while getting a haircut. Now I'm using the wall magic clipper with the lever open and making a second guideline about 1 inch thick. Now I have my lever closed and I'm blending out that bottom guideline roughly halfway up to that first guideline that I made, and then after that I'm going to be closing the lever midway and then blending out the line completely. I do apologize for my camera. I had the settings to auto, so it kept focusing in and out. I now have the number 1 guard on with the lever open and making a second guideline about 1 inch thick. I will then close the lever just to line up the bottom line to make it easier to fade my next guard.
Lavito on the beat.
Now I have my number 2 guard on and I'm scooping up towards the top of the head just to debulk the hair. This will be the biggest guard on my fade. For this side of the head, my number 1 guard blended perfectly into the number 2 guard, so I skipped the 1.5 guard, but I usually will use it if it left the line. Now I have my half guard on with the lever closed at first, then I will open it midway and then open. I feel that this guard perfects the blend, so I usually play with the lever a lot to make sure that everything is blended perfectly. Finally, I will use my 5-star shaver to bald out everything underneath my first guideline to make sure the fade transitions better and make the fade pop. I do the exact same steps on the back of the head and other side of the head, so try to follow along with the clipper guard guide on the side.
on the beat.
Hoping that you guys know the steps by now so I don't have to guide on, but I'm sure you guys can keep up and follow what I'm doing. I'm doing the exact same steps. I do see some dark spots, so I'm going back in with my half guard and just touching it up. Finally, I take my 5-star shavers to bald everything out. I go in many different directions with my shaver because hair grows in all directions and you always want to go against the grain. I tend to use the back of my shaver to bald it out, and I will use the front of the shaver, which is the logo facing you, to fade out the line. Now I'm going to dampen the hair with water to make it easier to cut the hair. Teaching how to use a scissor is actually easier to do than to teach, so just try to follow along. I take my first guideline, hold the hair straight up with as much tension as I can, so when you cut it, the haircut is straight. If you don't hold it tight, it's going to be all crooked and it won't be a straight cut. Then you're going to take that guideline, take it to your second guideline and cut the same amount. Since that guideline moves, it's called the traveling guideline. Then you take that across the entire head.
Lavito on the beat. Lavito on the beat.
Now I add some texture to his hair by gently gliding my scissor blade across the head. First, I comb the hair straight towards me and then I make diagonal cuts. I slowed the video down 50% so you can see how the scissors are gliding. You are closing the scissors but not completely to give it that texture look. So you're pretty much like gliding the scissor across one blade. This becomes easier to do as you do it more often. This gives the haircut a little less blunt look and gives the haircut some life and volume.
Lavito on the beat.
Now I use my texturizing shears to thin out the hair a bit. Whatever direction that the hair is going to lean over to, I cut it in the opposite direction. On to my favorite part, the lineup. This brings out the haircut because even if your haircut is awful, a good lineup can save the haircut. I try to make the sharpest lines without pushing the client back and make sure that the corners are crispy and defined.
on the beat.
I saw some dark spots, so I just came back with my half guard and just tried to touch it up a bit just to perfect the blend. Now I'm using my clipper over comb technique to make sure all the top hairs are even and straight. I like to throw a one guard on my clipper while doing it because it prevents me from cutting in too deep, and I feel like it blends a little better than using no guards. This is a carbon fiber comb, and this comb is my personal favorite for clipper over comb techniques. It's very sturdy and doesn't bend as much as the other flat top combs. When using clipper over comb, make sure you always cut against the grain. Since I noticed not much hair was coming off, I switched the position of my clipper to make sure all the hairs are being cut evenly. Always look for the direction that the hair is growing. A little trick I learned is that using the comb and cutting left to right is like technically setting a guideline. It makes the hair all even. If you see a spot you need to blend, use the clippers and the comb up and down instead to fade it in. Hope that made sense. Now I usually don't apply hair fibers, but I did it just for the video to make the hair cut that much crispier.
Lavito on the beat. Lavito on the beat.
Finally, I'm going to hit it with the straight razor. Make sure to always stretch the skin so you don't nick the climb. Alright, here's the final result. Let me know what you guys think. I'm sorry I haven't posted in forever, but I promise I'll be more consistent from now on. Please like, comment, and subscribe so I can know this provided any value to you guys. I answer all my comments, so please make sure to drop one. I'll see you guys in my next video.